Scottish Cup final. As you know, obviously it's this Saturday. Inverness Caledonian Thistle done amazingly well to get there for the first time since 2015 when they won it. They're taking on the might of Celtic. What's your score prediction? How do you see this one going?
Listen, it's. I think it's what Inverness come out of. You know, the disappointment of losing for the league. It's a great achievement. You know, of Billy and his staff have done a great job to get the Scottish Cup final, because it's difficult. It is difficult in Scotland because there's, you know, if you're in the Championship and it's a different pathway, but they've done extremely well to get there. And then they've got the added problem is that they've not played for over a month. And that's a big thing as well. So, you know, Celtic obviously just get playing all the way through. Inverness have been struggling to find games, and that's the difficult. So it's just really what come out. Yeah, Inverness might come out for first 15, 20 minutes and try and, you know, be well organised, disciplined. But it's if Celtic score early, then, you know, it's going to be a difficult match. We know it's a difficult game. Celtic are a huge, overwhelming favourites, and you know, I'd expect Celtic to win it comfortable, but I just think there's a lot of hardship going towards Inverness, really. If you want it to be a proper Scottish Cup final and you know, somebody to try and come and to have a surprise, it obviously is very difficult with the game situation that they've had.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult for them. Obviously, Celtic are on a roll, great season as it's going at the moment. There's a lot of competitors if you're looking for a player of the season for Celtic, but who's caught your eye more than anyone else so far this season?
I think what you'll get is that there's probably 6 or 7 that have played regular, probably maybe even a lot more, you know, that have been a mainstay in that team. And I'll look at, you know, what the main players in the team, your central midfielders, your strikers, you know, what they're contributing. I just look at Callum McGregor and I look at Kyogo. I think Kyogo's been, since he's come into Scottish football, I think he's been standards for everybody else in terms of that top end of the pitch. His work rate, his attitude, his goals. Not the biggest, obviously. I played against him a couple of times and finds great spaces. So I think he's probably been the one that's really, you know, he's been top notch. But, you know, I think Callum McGregor is always going to have a special mention because he's the one that never injured. You know, I think the only time really he's been suspended is the only time he's missed games. He's never really injured, plays every game. And he had a tough job taking over the captaincy, and I think he stepped into the role well. So I think Kyogo's obviously got all the awards in the league and things like that. But I just think Callum McGregor, I think, is, if you look at somebody that's mature, he's, you know, top player, and I would go for him.
Postecoglou obviously come in. He's revolutionised the club in some ways. Do you think he's staying there for the long haul? Or do you think he'll be tempted away if he got offered the Tottenham job? Could you see him taking that?
At the moment, no, I don't. I think he seems happy at Celtic. I think he's, you know, I think this one is a different situation to previous managers that have left to go to England. I think Ange is very happy in Scotland. Mm-hmm. He's at a great top club, Champions League football. I think that's a big pull for a lot of this. As also Celtic's record in the Champions League last year was not great.
Yeah.
So that's something that he'll want to try and put right as well. So I think Celtic have got a good manager. Listen, when you're winning majority of weeks and you're winning trophy after trophy, you're always going to get linked. That's part and parcel of the job. But I think he's happy at Celtic, and I think that he'll be there for, you know, next season at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Champions League is probably his next big thing. Tottenham aren't even in Europe next year.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, to come all away from Australia and his journey to Japan and coming to Scotland now, it gives him that opportunity to now go and test himself against the best managers in the Champions League. And it's an incredible, it's where you want to coach. It's where the top coaches are, and that's where you want to put yourself against and put your team against as well.
You're someone who started your career off obviously with Rangers, or previously, but then north of the border,
yeah,
came down south of the border. Do you remember how much of was it a big jump in quality? I think you came down to the Championship, then came up to the Premier League. In terms of SPL, Premier League,
I think it was different for me was that I was a young player leaving. Listen, keep talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
So I knew the quality and the standard of what it was to be at the top clubs. So to take that, I had to take that into Blackpool, where they were in the Championship, struggling for relegation, and we had to try and be competitive and stay in the league, and hopefully equality would shine through. And lucky for me, it did. But yeah, you have to get an opportunity. The Premier League is totally different. The standard of the Premier League to the Championship, there is it's a gap in terms of the top clubs and to the Premier League and the Championship. But once you're in that and you get game time and you get momentum, you're playing well, then you feel confident. You feel like a very good player. And like you said, the more that, from a selfish point, from a national team point of view, the more players we have playing in the top league in England, the better it'll be for the national team. We've got obviously Lewis Ferguson now playing in top level in Serie A in Italy, playing really well, and everybody has different pathways of getting to the top level. And it's important that these lads and this group of players, the more we have playing in the top leagues, the better.